Hello and welcome to Culture Cubby, the podcast that is not afraid to say Men in Black could have been sexier.
Yeah.
I am your host, Julian Sosa, along with
Jared Slattery.
And today we are talking about the movie Decoys. This is one that I chose just based off of the cover. They say never judge a book by its cover. I did, and I said, this is going to be bad. And I was right.
I wasn't sure if you wanted me to watch a different movie named Decoys, which I didn't really find. I was just like, from 2004?
No, what's funny is I didn't. Well, maybe did I send you like an image of this, or did I just say Decoys?
You said Decoys.
We haven't discussed whether we've actually watched the same movie.
Yeah.
This movie is aggressively from 2004.
Oh my god. So much.
It kind of inspired my wardrobe today. Just to get into the plot of this movie. So there's this sorority that kind of has women in it that are actually aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And the aliens are looking to breed with the humans there. They had to choose a colder climate because these aliens like the cold. They need the cold. So they're in Canada. And that's basically the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. They have done a lot in this movie. A lot of this movie was not necessary for the story. And a lot of the story bits are stupid. Like, not understandable, stupid. There are characters that you can tell had different roles in the first draft that they didn't want to get rid of, but should have. There's a lot of relationships that are not really explained, but they're like, it's necessary to show. For, like, both cops, completely unnecessary. They achieved nothing.
So this movie was something for me that, like, obviously, this was like quintessential like 2004 horror film. For whatever reason, at this like horror films in this time, I think are at their worst because they're simply, for whatever reason, they're like, if it's a horror film, it has to be sexy.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some sort of sex element to it. It's like every horror film around this time. It's the same thing, you know. And even if it's not directly in the plot, there's just they just needed something, some element of that in it. So this film is exactly that. Even more so though. And I guess they're not intentionally trying to kill the men.
Yeah.
They are trying to breed with them so that they can get offspring, but they're freezing the men from inside while having sex with them and accidentally killing them.
Well, they're also weaponizing that to a point. They're picking guys who they deem worthy of killing. And I'm not disagreeing with their assessments on some of these dudes, but they're definitely not ambivalent. They're doing some bad shit. But at the same time, I hate the protagonist. I think he deserved to die early. Because the ethos of this movie is unclear. Like, what they're trying to say about men and women, because they're trying to say something, but they don't land anywhere. They are talking about how we only killed these guys who beat women and were date rapists, but also they're killing people that they like, and they're confused about it. Like, are they trying to say that this is how women are?
In the beginning of this, our protagonist, the main character, he's in a laundry room where he meets these two girls, and they're supposed to be these sexy blonde girls. This very college film atmosphere at this point. I audibly laughed when the girl picked up her thong with tongs.
Yeah. That thong, tong.
Yeah, it rhymes. So one of the alien girls leaves a thing of quarters there, so he takes it to her room to give it back to her. And
before you get to that, there's a lot of unbelievable shit in this movie That's the number one. That's laundry quarters, man. And back then, that would last a long time. I'm like, these are mine now.
Yeah, that's true. But he takes the quarters back to her, and the girls come into the room, and so he's kind of like shuffling to hide from them. It's just like, hey, I just came to drop off your quarters. Oh, you know what it was? He was
Yeah.
sniffing their laundry, and then they come in, and he hides in the closet, and then they start undressing, opening the windows because they need it cold, and this is where he first sees that they're aliens because there's like these little tentacle things that come
Yeah.
out of them, but this is the guy we're supposed to root for.
Yeah.
This guy that's sniffing their undergarments. This guy that's excited to be hiding in their closet and
Yeah.
seeing them undress. Real creepy dude. And this is our hero of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I just immediately I was like, 7:30 in the morning. uh, it's just trapped in the closet. That guy does that a few times, and my head just went there each time he hid. I'm like, it's just a trapped in the closet.
Yeah, this movie was. At first, I wrote down Dude, Where's My Car, the horror film. But Dude, Where's My Car is so much better than this movie.
Yes, it is.
This was worse than. So typically, when I'm choosing the movies for this, it's either something I've seen or something I've at least seen a trailer to that kind of intrigued me. This was literally, I just read the plot, saw the cover art, was like, this sounds like a bad one to do. And yeah, I was right. It was much worse than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because just looking at the photos of it, I was like, it looks all right. Like
Yeah.
at least with camera and stuff,
Yeah,
it
it was
looks
shot.
all right. Yeah,
It was shot, not shot well, but shot with good cameras.
right.
And they had decent audio. There was everything was pretty okay.
Those are the
production-wise.
two good things.
Yeah, everything the production wise is pretty good. Wasn't great, was pretty good, and the special effects were okay.
Yeah, they were, and that's why I was like, why is this movie so aggressively bad?
Yeah,
I keep using the word aggressively, but it's in your face with everything. Like, I will say though, there was some funny moments in this movie.
Yeah.
Some stuff that truly made me laugh.
but I don't know if it was on purpose. That's what fucks me up.
There's a couple things that I think were on purpose. I do think that this was intended to be a horror comedy, but there's a lot of scenes in this that I'm like, you don't understand the movie that you're making.
Yeah, 100%. I think I was looking back. I was like, who wrote this? I would love to
These are pretty
see
blurry.
the directors.
I was so annoyed because I have the DVD. I bought the DVD. It's the whole reason why we're doing this movie. And then the second that we are filming this, I lose it. So there you go. Just an image.
Yep. Well, I wonder what it looked like, what the original full director's cut of the movie is. I don't want to watch it now,
No.
but I have a feeling it would be a bit different. They edited the comedy out if they intended the comedy, you know?
Yeah. There was too many like real jokes for it not to have been intentional. The first one being when the main character is he's at a party, and he already at this point has seen that they're aliens, but then like casually dances with them.
Yeah.
Like ignores the fact like his friends are like talking about hooking up with these girls, and he's like, yeah, okay. So that to me, well, that's not the humorous part. So he gets in a fight with this guy that all of a sudden is a bully out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing like, oh no, he's here. There was no build up. This movie just like rushes through everything. There is no stopping to develop any kind of story.
Mhm.
It's just here's this story, here's the next story, here's the next story. But as he's fighting with this bully, he throws a punch and accidentally hits this girl in the face with braces that he had previously like knocked a drink into. So
Yeah.
he's just like he keeps hitting her, and that's definitely a bit.
Yeah. It's just they don't play it correctly to show that to be really funny,
Yeah, a lot of it's not played correctly.
and it
Although I didn't find that I did laugh at
it was pretty funny right then. It's fucking stupid because he got in this fight and the dude who looks, and they even mention this in the film, but the dude who looks like Elijah Wood, he was in the hallway, and you could hear a tussle happen, and his homie was not there to help him at all. In the hallway, just not paying any attention. I just feel like he should have looked around and said, "Where's my homie? Where are the hobbits?"
Well, they kept alluding to his friend being like a drunk. Kind of. I mean, he even mentions like, you need to slow down. That never really has any consequence to anything.
No, they both,
because they set it up so that it's like you think, oh, this is going to lead to him dying, and if anything, it prolonged his life a day.
yeah, yeah. And then they have the best friend who's a girl, and she.
I got really angry.
They played it like they knew her for a long time, not like a little while, not like the first semester. They knew her for a long time.
Yeah, they don't establish relationships well in this movie at all. That's one that you're like, where did she come from?
Yeah.
Then there's the female cop.
Yeah.
That, like, they have the first time you see them together, her and the main character, you don't really understand why they know each other, but they clearly have a relationship. Mm-hmm. And then throughout the film, they interact with each other as if they're not.
Yeah.
They don't know each other.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden at the end, she's like, I'm the only one that believes you. I'm here to help you.
Here's what I think, because at the end, I'm just going to spoil this part and just jump to it, because it predicates a lot of what I have to say about the movie. So the friend who's a brunette who hates all the blondes, who helped him actively try to catch one, she turns out to be one of the aliens, and I don't think that is what was supposed to happen. I think what was supposed to happen was the cop was supposed to be the alien. That she was sent way earlier, and she's been keeping it under wraps. That would make sense. It would, in fact, changing that, it makes the whole movie make a lot more sense.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about that then, because they don't set up that she is one of the aliens at all. And it's not in a way where they're trying to hide the secret, trying to hide the twist ending, because there's moments like he sets up a camera and he's trying to he's with the alien like in the middle of sex to expose her as an alien, and he has a camera set up, and the brunette friend, she's
getting jealous.
She's getting jealous, and she's watching on the camera, like, and at one point he goes off camera, and she says, like, get back in frame. Every action she's taking is of somebody who doesn't know the actual truth.
Yeah.
And you are telling it's bullshit is what it is. That you're telling us that this has been one of the aliens from the very beginning, but none of her actions would have. Not only do they not tell us that, but they actively go against that being the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is bonkers, and
I didn't know I was so angry about it until you started bringing it up.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is bullshit.
Fuck.
I did hate the ending.
Yeah. I knew
always, but giving it more information, I was like, that's bullshit.
I knew that something like that was going to happen when they brought up the first alien was there for a while, and I was like, it better not be the friend, because that shit doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So the only thing that I could possibly see. There was one, so in the sorority, they weren't all aliens. Mm-hmm. There were regular girls there, which is another joke later on. The antagonist throws, because he finds out that heat or fire is kind of their weakness. And,
just like mine, just like me.
Yeah.
Fire will kill me too. That fucked me up, because I'm like, yeah, your apartment's on fire now. Your dorm's on fire.
Wait a minute, let me see your belly button.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. They don't have belly buttons.
Yeah.
But they have nipples.
Well, exactly. I'm like, you could just put a belly button in if you're
Yeah.
going to be able to shapeshift or whatever.
Right, they're shapeshifters because they don't look like they're not like partially humans. They're
No.
like lizard-looking people.
Yeah. They don't
So
have to not have a belly button.
yeah, they're just for whatever reason we're like that's the one part we're gonna leave out for
Yeah.
whatever.
It's going to make it real weird.
Right. Yeah. So he throws the pot of boiling water on one of the girls, thinking that she's one of the aliens. She's a human. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
Too.
Turns out that's also her weakness.
Yeah. It's like what? That was like I said. There's some real jokes in this. That was pretty funny to me.
Yeah.
And that one I felt like was set up the entire film because she's clearly wearing a wig.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's the only one wearing a wig.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, okay, they couldn't find enough blondes. They just threw a wig on this actress. But that to me almost tells me that they were trying to get us to believe the entire time that she was an alien.
Yeah.
Without any actions from her.
No, she
just like, oh, that girl's clearly wearing a wig, so she must be fake.
No, she was just a terse person who really cared about her sorority sisters.
Yeah.
And she was going to defend them.
The other part of the friend being an alien is that there's tons of times where the other aliens are about to be killed or exposed or be in harm's way, and she does nothing to help them. And she has that information.
Mm-hmm.
She knows that her friend is aware of their existence. She knows that he's setting up certain things to catch them. She knows that he's going to physically attack them and does nothing about it.
Right. And everybody in this movie is so horny that it wouldn't have taken much for her. She's more attractive and she gets along with them. And I'm like, I've been in many friend groups. All three of those dudes that were in that friend group would have been trying to sleep with her all the time.
That is a good point that, yes, they were all just so committed to sex that it's weird that they would just have her, like, tagging along and, like, not... I think there was even that very stereotypical moment where she kind of lets her hair down at the end, and he's like, wow, I never knew.
Well, he said something whack to her. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just so mean that I'm like, no, fuck that dude. Like, get away from him.
Oh yeah, nobody in this movie... This is another movie where I'm like, I don't need any of these people to survive. And actually, I was actively rooting for quite a number of them to die. Actually, the only one that I didn't want to die was the friend who turned out to be an alien.
The alien who's trying to get with the Elijah Wood guy seemed genuine, and there seemed to be an ability to break through. And I'm like, the Canadian government is going to be pissed at this kid, and the whole world government for potentially entangling us in a serious conflict with intergalactic interlopers. You know, like, this is our first contact. It has not gone well so far, but if you try to go to war on this shit...
I hated that part too.
Yeah.
I hated that she was like, oh, I actually love you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put you in harm's way. And then their love is so passionate that he has to go and actually sleep with her, and then that ends up being his demise. And then the friend shows up, and she's like, no, I really loved him. I didn't want any of this to happen.
And he's like, no, fuck that!
Right, which is the correct response.
I don't know.
It's an alien invasion.
I think that...
They've killed people. She's killed people.
Oh, I understand that.
If she was a human...
All I'm saying is, first, that didn't need to be in the movie because it had no importance on anything.
No.
Like, it didn't change any minds. It didn't create hesitation. But, having heard that, I would have been like, okay, can we work together to stop this shit? Or, like, what do you want to do to make this stop? And because you don't know the full plan, you don't know what's really, really going on, and you're still going to look like you killed a bunch of co-eds, you know?
I disagree with that. because they murdered people. She murdered people. You wouldn't go to a murderer and be
No,
like, "What's the grand scheme here?
you
Why don't we
call
talk about this a little bit? Let's figure this out."
once you have any amount of proof, you got to call the great Canadian government to come in
He
and
tried talking to the cops. He tried.
not that dude. I wouldn't go to the guy who before the movie is established to call me puppy. Fuck that.
Yeah,
There
that
are
was-
other people in the government.
What is like?
That guy was like the way he talked about him, the way he did everything. Maybe he called him puppy because he looked at the other cop with puppy eyes, but I doubt it. They don't establish it. He's just being weird to this fucking college student.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't go to him. I'd go beyond him and be like, "Hey, have you guys noticed any fucking weird shit in the sky?"
yeah. To be fair, though, that is like a very basic thing that happens in all of these movies, good or bad, where it's like authority doesn't listen to them, so they have to figure out how to take care of it themselves. I was really angry when he went to. So he's setting up cameras to try to catch them as aliens, and he sets one up in the shower.
Yeah,
Our hero.
our hero.
And so he takes the shower footage to the cops.
Yeah, incriminating himself.
Right, because the only thing that indicates, obviously the belly button, but on a crappy camera, you're not going to see that.
Yeah.
So what they're seeing, he's trying to show them, they have a little circle here that these tentacles come out of. That's how they, like, freeze you inside or inseminate you inside. And he's showing this to the cops, and the cops like, all you're showing me is that you've committed a crime, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Arrest him.
I was like, you've got him. You've been trying to figure out a way to bust this kid. This is how you arrest him. He just showed you that he committed a crime, and you're like, now get out of here. I still believe you murdered somebody, but get out of here.
Let me take it back a little bit. I agree. He should go to jail. Let's talk about
No movies made us yell like this. We've watched a lot of bad movies.
we got to talk about the third guy in the friend group.
I hate him.
Comedy relief guy.
I hate him.
Yeah, I hated him too, and I was so happy when he died. And I was like, why did they try to make his death sad? They put a tear and it froze.
First, his name is, he has like two names. Nathan, I think it was,
Yeah.
and Gibby. I think initially they called him Nathan. He's like, don't call me that, call me Gibby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, Gibby. Can't wait till you die. The second he started talking, I was like, I really need you to die. And then later on, when he's being brought to his death in a cemetery, she calls him, I think, Nathan, and he's like, "Oh, I like when you call me Nathan."
Yeah.
So you told us you didn't like that. You said Gibby.
Yeah.
Just call him one name. Do we need that at all?
Look, every one of these aliens that slept with any of these dudes were way out of their league in multiple ways. So I think he was just like, finally, and that's why he left his voice message to him getting busy. Like, what if anybody called him that wasn't in that friend group? Like, his mom calls anybody, and let's just say he survived, and you have to talk about it. And now this guy definitely isn't embarrassed by anything because he's a comedy relief degenerate.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was another one of, like, the friends. He's just around sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
no
after,
one likes him.
Yeah, and after he dies, the main character is desperately trying to get a hold of him.
Mm-hmm.
Calling him over and over again. And then he's calling him and like, hey, stuff's gone down. I really need you to call me. This is when he's with the cop. And then she's just randomly like, oh yeah, he's dead.
Your buddy's dead. I hated that
I'll let
guy.
you finish the message, though.
Yeah. Ooh. That's all she was thinking.
Certainly, again, the worst kind of horror films that comes around this time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just every movie needing to be kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where they border between that comedy, I think like Jason X, Ghost Ship,
I think
13 Ghosts.
the 90s self-awareness really bled into the early 2000s horror films.
For sure. Yeah.
Like it's the way they do the comedy and the crash shit, to me, it makes me feel like they're like, no, this is a smart film. We're just in on the joke. And I'm like, I think you just made a shitty film, and it's easy to make these. And you think you're gonna make a cult classic, and you make this. I don't know what the point of this movie was. I don't know what they were trying to say. Like I said earlier, it doesn't make any sense. And I think they were trying to say something about women specifically, but they ended up saying nothing except for you can't even trust the brunettes who were your friends. They're also ice queens, is kind of what I got towards the end.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was intentional.
It's really hard to give them credit for anything, even if it's credit for something that you consider bad.
Yeah.
Because...
who knows?
Right, exactly.
I don't think they did about anything. And I'm not one to try to look at a movie and be like, what does this mean? It's just that there's a lot of things in this movie that feel pointed, that may or may not be, but it feels pointed.
Yeah.
And, like, the saint-slut dichotomy they play with that a lot. And, like if I take the story in, like, Luke, the main character, is Luke? I think his name is Luke.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically for these, I'll go back and look at the character names.
Yeah.
Just for us discussing. I was like, I don't care. I wrote down Gibby because he was just when I heard his name, I was like, Gibby. I want you to die.
Yeah. No, if we are supposed to take that Luke, or whatever his name is correct, because that's what the movie's kind of implying. Like, he's always doing the right. He's in the right. His frame of mind, it makes sense. Smelling that fucking rayon baby doll lingerie is something we all would do as college-age men like us. It seems like that's what they want. They wanted us to root for him, and I couldn't. And then when he started killing them, out of nowhere, terrible quips. None of them were good.
Yeah, this to me felt like a movie that I think a lot of times I say that they were just pitching a bunch of ideas. This to me was like, this is the first idea, the first writing of the script, no edits were made.
Oh.
And everything in the first script stayed. Because there's just a lot of... the stuff that they put focus on was weird. The stuff that they actually worked on. Like, there's quite a few scenes where it felt improvised to me. Like, a lot of the dancing was awful.
Mm-hmm.
When they're at the party in the beginning and they're dancing, it was like, you're clearly making this up on the spot. One scene that I think was definitely improvised, that I think was... It was... At first I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But I just thought it was really funny at the end of it was the cop is talking to the coroner, and he just keeps getting in the coroner's way. Like, the room is too small.
Yeah.
And it really looked like the actor playing the coroner just, like, he just kept going, like, can you move out of my way? That, to me, was not intentional, was not written in the script, but came off so funny to me.
Yeah. I think... And those are the most senior actors, both of those guys, in that moment.
Yeah.
And one of them is from something. I don't remember what, but I've seen him before.
Yeah, a lot of them you keep calling the one Elijah Wood, but, like, every single actor in there... I was like, oh, you vaguely look like this other person.
Yeah.
Like, they were trying to, like, find big actor lookalikes.
Oh, that reminds me. I did think of a funny thing. When the alien reached over and was, like, transformed to kind of alienly caress the Elijah Wood character, I just screamed, "Filthy hobbitses!" And I think that's the best thing about this movie, is that I could just do that. But everything else is kind of trash.
Yeah, it was definitely what I would call a fun movie to, like, sit there and audibly make fun of.
Yeah.
Certainly, I don't know if I would call it a fun bad movie.
No.
But
in a group, it might be fun.
for sure. And I certainly, I'd say, like, it wasn't a drag to watch. Like, there was enough, like, funny, whether intentional or not, moments for me.
The O faces were pretty funny to me.
Yeah. Where my hate of it really comes from, other than, the obviously sexist stuff, is just the audacity of a lot of what they tried to do. Like when the friend is dying in the ambulance, and the music changes, the tone changes, they're both crying. The main character's like begging for his friend to stay alive. They tried to get a genuinely serious moment out of this movie, and how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Like, this movie deserved a death like, I leave you my beer bong.
Oh yeah, I did have for the character of Gibby as he's freezing. I felt like they missed a good joke for this movie, which is, "You're cold-hearted."
You're cold as ice, baby. There is a sequel.
Yeah.
And I have to watch it now.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I figure we'll watch that for this, so we can at least get something from it.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke at the end of this of that being our next movie.
Preempted, motherfucker.
Probably not, but I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. At the I probably have other notes on this, but I think that's a good place to leave it.
This a fucking movie, you know.
Yeah.
It is technically cinematography.
I think because Elves was so heavy on my heart that this movie, like, I was fine with it. I mean, again, I laughed at some points. It was fun to sit there with somebody else and just audibly make fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a goof.
This is one of those where, like, I look up the Rotten Tomatoes. It says it has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. And you look at that and go, oh, well, obviously it has a low score. To me, I'm like, that's really high.
Yeah.
25% of the...
Yeah. Like, I would recommend this to people who like, again, this type of movies, or people who want to have, like, a cheesy horror night, and you have a lot of great things, but you have another slot to fill. This is a good slot filler for that.
Yeah. Very clearly a movie of its time.
Yeah. Yeah.
All those years ago.
Oh, the music, though, terrible. Like, they got...
It's very much like Full Moon.
And the soundtrack, too. So, like, it was almost The Room-esque at times. Like, they had R&B playing randomly, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, I wrote down The Room meets Full Moon movie.
Yes. Yeah. How apt.
Yeah.
But, and, like, you can tell, like, the director's friends were in some of those bands, too. Like, this is my big break. Sorry, bud.
Yeah. Well, do you recommend it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a doofy movie time, this is a pretty doofy movie.
Yeah, and especially if you have, like, a nostalgia for that era.
Yeah.
Although it is Canada, so, this is not the perfect comp.
I'll correct that and say it's an extremely doofy movie.
Well, that's it. Join us next time for Decoy 2. I don't know, maybe?
Yeah? Mm-hmm. If I bring Decoys 2 to the table, will you guys eat it?
No.
If I can just bring it to the table, you guys have some?